Hello and a warm welcome to everyone here today to our webinar. This is the webinar which is a part of a number of initiatives that WasteAct has set up as a part of the Circular Economy Network, sponsored by Huhtamaki, a Finland-based global packaging company. To begin with, I just like to give you some housekeeping tips during the webinar. First of all, the translation is available, so please press the translation button at the bottom of to hear in English or Vietnamese. Chúng ta có phần phiên dịch, thì các anh chị vui lòng click vào biểu tượng quả địa cầu để chọn ngôn ngữ mà mình muốn nghe, tiếng Anh hoặc là tiếng Việt. We would love to know who you are and which organization you are from. So please don't hesitate to let us know in the chat function. We also love to have many questions today. So please put the questions in the Q&A function. And finally, if you have any other issues, do message us in the chat box. Then please, I would like to each panelist to briefly introduce themselves, but perhaps first to Michelle, then chị Linh Enda Vietnam, then chị Thoa mGreen, and finally PLASTICPeople. So hi, Michelle.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Tham, for that warm welcome, and really excited to be here today. I am speaking to you from London, and I am the Network Director for WasteAid's Circular Economy Network project. Thanks, Tham.
Thanks, Michelle. And hi, chị Linh. Hello,
Lynn, I think you're on mute, Lynn.
Yeah, sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Lynn is my name. I am from Enda Vietnam as a country director. I work with USA project related to informal sector in plastic. Thank you.
Thank you, chị Linh. Hi, chị Thoa.
Xin chào mọi người, mình là Thoa, đến từ ứng dụng di động mGreen, là một giải pháp công nghệ để khuyến khích việc phân loại rác tại nguồn và được tích điểm đổi quà, giúp việc thu gom tái chế và hướng tới nền kinh tế tuần hoàn.
Thank you, chị Thoa. And PLASTICPeople, hi.
Hi everybody, my name is Néstor Catalán, and together with Nana Morantes, we are the founders of PLASTICPeople in Vietnam.
Thank you all panelists, and we all look forward to hearing your presentations. But first, allow me to present some reasons why we have chosen this topic today, which is called Approaching Circularity in Plastic Economy in Vietnam. So we hear a lot about the issues around plastic, but we are all believers, likely we see the amazing functionality of plastic, the vital role it plays in our day-to-day, but also the problem it causes globally. Some statistics in Vietnam produces and consumes about 5 million tons of plastic waste annually, with an estimated 0.3 to 0.7 million tons of plastic waste per year discharged into the sea. So plastic waste is really an aggravating factor to climate change. According to UNESCAP, global emissions linked to the global life cycle of plastic amounted to 1.7 gigaton of CO2 equivalent in 2015, and it is expected to grow to 6.5 by 2050 under the current business and usual trajectory. So investment in innovative waste management and recycling solutions must be part of any solution to reduce CO2 emissions. So we have gathered a number of speakers here today who are interested or activity involved in driving the circular economy of plastic, including the recovery of plastic and keeping plastic in use, and the use of digital technology to link all these processes together. So first of all, let's hear from Michelle Wilson, our network director, to understand the current situation. So over to you, Michelle.
Hi, thanks very much, Tram. I am going to attempt to share my screen, so bear with me here if I can do this smoothly. Where is the presentation? Okay, bear with me a sec. Share, just go back. I'm giving you a sneak preview of my presentation here. Here we go. So yeah, I just wanted to spend just 10 minutes just sharing some key statistics on the situation at the moment in Vietnam in terms of plastics. And we really wanted to present today around plastics in Vietnam with an economic and market lens, and asking how can the market help us achieve better circularity in plastics. And the statistics that I'm going to share with you today have been drawn from a few key reports, and we're going to share those links with you. I'm sure many of you may be familiar with these reports already. The first one is the Vietnam Materials Marketplace study, which was developed by the Vietnam Business Council for Sustainable Development and the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and that was funded by P4G, Partnering for Green Growth. Also the IUCN report, National Guidance for Plastic Pollution, Hotspotting and Shaping Action. So these are the two key reports that I'm going to sort of quote from today. I think the first thing we want to recognise, and this is true in all the countries in which a waste aid and the circular economy network is operating, is that the governments and the commitment of government and the Vietnamese government in establishing circular economy is very, very strong. So we know in May 2019, the Prime Minister added the goal of establishing a circular economy model as a national objective in the Directive number 13 on sustainable development. So we all recognise that circular economy is seen to be a solution to some of the statistics that Tram mentioned around climate emissions and around leakage of plastics into our oceans. But it's to say that we also need to be pragmatic. So I just wanted to share some statistics with you. So as Tram mentioned, approximately 5 million metric tons of plastic is produced currently by Vietnam, so produced and consumed every year. Now, as Tram said, plastics are here to stay. They're not, global bans on plastics will not work in a globalized economy where plastics still are very central to manufacturing processes. And Vietnam at the moment, manufacturing is a boom sector in Vietnam, which creates jobs, which creates livelihoods, which raises people out of poverty. So we know that there is a growing demand for plastics through packaging, construction, or dominant industries. And manufacturing in Vietnam contributes 16.9% to GDP. So manufacturing is a key sector. Plastics is a key resource which is required. Packaging and construction are driving a lot of this growth. And we see that, that's the context, that's the situation in which we're in at the moment. Currently, when you look at where the plastics is coming from to drive the manufacturing sectors within Vietnam, approximately 80% of raw materials for plastics, and when we say raw materials, this includes resins, recyclables, comes from outside of Vietnam. I don't know if many of you knew that, but most of the materials are imported. So absolutely, there is resin there to make virgin plastic, but there's also recycled scrap, which is imported. So just to give you an example, in 2018, 8.3 million tons of plastic products were produced from 6.9 million tons of resin and around 1.4 million tons of recycled plastic scrap, which had been imported. So for us, there's a conundrum in a sense, is that we are importing in Vietnam recycled scrap, and yet surely there is also a potential domestic production system in place, or an ability to actually absorb domestic plastic and industrial plastic locally without having to import it. So when you look at some of the statistics, there is no official, consistent and firm data in terms of recycling rates. So anything is really a bit of an estimation, but I think when we look at the statistics, we can all agree that it is low, that only about 15 to 20% of the current volumes of plastics in Vietnam are recovered and recycled. And when you look at the statistics, actually, interestingly, the most recycled plastic at the moment in country is the plastic that's imported. So yeah, the recycling is going on, but the recycling going on in Vietnam at the moment predominantly is coming from imported plastic and not the actual plastic that is recovered locally. So why is this the case? You know, what's going on underneath? So what are the drivers for this? So we know, I mean, again, some of these statistics you are pretty well familiar with. You know, we know with population growth, as we get richer, we basically create more waste. So we know there's an increasing amount of waste within Vietnam, and plastic waste being a proportion of that. So there's increasing waste levels, 11.7% growth currently in terms of the waste that we are actually producing. I'm sure Lynn will talk to this more, but you know, there is lack of waste segregation going on at all levels. So you may get segregation at household level, but if that collection happens and it's mixed up again, then that segregation at the household level is not really working. So you need that segregation all the way through the value chain. And we know that is not happening. There's different pilots that have happened, but we know that there's a challenge to make that happen. We know that, you know, with the growing population, with the increased waste, there also needs to be, more investment in waste collection infrastructure. So there's a general lack of investment in waste collection infrastructure, you know, keeping up with the actual population growth. Also, the fact that majority of recycling currently is informal, carried out by the informal sector, you know, they are a vital part of the network to recover this waste. Much of the recycling ends up in craft villages, which is again quite informal. So, you know, there is potential there, but there is more work needed to really make that recovery of waste, plastic waste, possible. We know, you know, we'll hear today from Plastic People, there are growing numbers of recyclers, you know, in this space, but, you know, it's a challenge for them to source reliable quantities and the quality of plastics locally. So while we have a situation where it's cheaper to import plastic waste because it's more reliable, of better quality, then the incentives are not there really to basically, you know, to source those materials locally when economically, you know, it is cheaper to actually, to go for more reliable imported sources. We also know, obviously, the oil price, you know, in terms of the competition of recyclables to virgin plastic is a big issue. You know, while oil prices remain low, virgin plastic, you know, will always then be cheaper to make compared to recyclables. So, you know, from our perspective, there needs to be some really clear policy levers to incentivize and to create an environment whereby it is more cost effective to source these plastics domestically than to import. That could be through infant industry protection measures, you know, to have quotas on imported, on plastics that could be sourced locally first before imports are actually allowed. So, you know, we see that there is potential on both sides to use policy levers to stop the imported plastics, but also there is opportunities to improve the collection and recovery of plastics locally, but you can't do those independently. Everything needs to run in parallel. So as Waste Aid, you know, we're grappling with a lot of these issues, trying to grapple with this through the Circular Economy Network, through the partners that are on here today. And, you know, we know there's no easy answers on this. And when I came into the webinar, really, I wanted to really pose a couple of questions back to ourselves, but also to the panelists who are speaking today. is there potential, do we think, to replace a proportion of the imports of current scrap plastic with a domestic supply of recycled plastic? Is that possible? And what is needed to import a domestic supply? So how can we use the domestic supply? How can we access it? How can it be more dependable, cleaner, more affordable? And we know that this is not going to eliminate the plastic problem, absolutely, but we feel we've got to be pragmatic with where we are right now. And right now we have plastics are with us. We know there's a lot of issues and debates around single-use plastics. It'd be great if Ernesto can speak a little bit to that today in terms of how they use these lower value plastics. We're really talking about those higher HDPE sort of type plastics, which can be recyclable. I think it'd be interesting just to explore some of these questions today. So Tram, that's all I wanted to say. I'll hand back to yourself, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle, for the insightful review on the many more questions have been raised. So yeah, why in countries characterized by incomplete waste management system, just like Vietnam, the informal sector plays a critical role in the recycling process, especially in regards to plastic waste. So either operating through a door-to-door mechanism or sorting waste at collection points, informal waste workers play a key role in recovering the end-of-life plastic products, recycling, and preventing plastic leakage into the ocean. For this, I would like to introduce Ms. Linh from Enda Vietnam. She is the country director of Enda Vietnam. She has experiences on sustainable development. Under her portfolio, she is planning, coordinating, and managing the work of Enda Vietnam on waste management, informal sector, sustainable development, urbanization, natural resources management, gender, climate change, and community development fund. So Ms. Linh, could you tell us more on your latest project towards the higher effectiveness of the informal sector and some current results? Over to you, Ji.
Thank you. Can you show the slide?
Yes. I hope all can see now.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone again. I would like to present the project related to informal sector of plastic in the short name. And the full name is Trong already introduced. And further on, next slide, please. Further on, I would like to introduce a little bit about Enda Vietnam. And Enda Vietnam, we start to work since 1995 up to now. And Enda work in urban area with the poor and the migrant, which focus on community-based solid waste management system, environmental awareness raising, housing for the poor, community saving, slum upgrading, and network for community and city. We have the vision in the how to create a Vietnam society where the people can live together in peaceful, democratic, and equal manner, where the government, citizen, and social organization work together to fight poverty and injustice, as well as to build healthy environment conditions. And before to talk about the informal plastic, I would like to mention about the solid waste management in Ho Chi Minh City. Next slide, please. In Ho Chi Minh City, there are formal and informal sector involved in solid waste management. Formal sector includes Sitanco and recycling company, and informal sector include independent waste collector, street waste picker, and run shop or aggregator. But in our project, we will focus on independent waste collector only. And in Ho Chi Minh City, there are about 4,200 independent waste collector in Ho Chi Minh City. And next slide, please. And independent waste collector, they collect 60 to 65% of domestic waste from household, before transfer to transfer station, managed by Sitenco, or meeting point managed by rural authority. They do waste separation to take on recyclable material. However, just only high value recyclable. After that, they transfer to transfer station, and Sitenco will take the remaining waste to transfer to landfilling and treatment. And Enda worked with independent waste collectors since 2006 up to now. And in Ho Chi Minh City, before independent waste collector, we have a nearly 2,000 street waste picker. Street waste picker, we can count Ve Chai in the south and Dong Nhat in the north. Street waste picker, who is the people to go on the street to pick up the recyclable or to buy the recyclable from the household or business center. And after that, they sell for the run shop. And in Ho Chi Minh City, there are about more than 1,800 run shops. However, this figure we surveyed in 2013, not now, because after the COVID, so many run shops already closed, and we have not updated the status yet. And the run shop, they can buy the all kind of recyclable from independent waste collector, from a street waste picker, or household. After that, they sell to recycling center or company. And why Enda Vietnam focus on informal sector and we focus on independent waste collector? The independent waste collector, as I mentioned before, they take very important role in solid waste management. They go to collect waste from the household. They do waste separation, and after that, they take on recyclable. They are the key person in plastic value chain, and each individual waste collector, they can collect 13 to 16 kilo of plastic every day for recycle. And however, the independent waste collector, they work in hazardous environment, but they don't have any social program or social welfare from government to support them. From next slide, please. Next slide, please, Trump.
I already 2 times G.
Yeah, and of course, they work in the independent way. They work in hazardous environment. However, they don't have any support from social welfare program. They are limited knowledge and skill, and also they lack of financial condition. And also independent waste collector, they are very difficult to access to social welfare program because 60 to 65% of independent waste collectors are migrant to Ho Chi Minh City. And that is the reason why on social program for the poor, usually they require a temporary or resident permanent in Ho Chi Minh City if they would like to access that. And when they work in the hazardous environment and they do not get any support from the social program welfare from the government, and also the voice of independent waste collector or street waste picker is very low with the government or with the community people. And that is the reason why Enda work with USAID, and we create one project we call the informal sector in plastic to support for independent waste collector. Next slide, please. And in this, next jump. Next slide, John. And in this project, we work with the independent waste collector. We already support we have 4 objectives in this project to support for independent waste collector. First is we support social protection and capacity building for independent waste collector. And in this project, we support for independent waste collector with social program such as the protective device, such as health and accident insurance. And also we conduct the capacity building for independent waste collector. And for capacity building, we train them on the some topic related to they're working, such as the first aid, how to prevent some disease that affect to their life, and law of cooperative, etc., gender equity, etc. And in that case, we think that besides support for social protection for independent waste collector, we have to do capacity building for independent waste collector, because they have to stand by themselves. We could not be with them forever. So that is the reason why capacity building is very important with independent waste collector. And the second objective in this project is we establish or strengthen independent waste collector organization and create networking for them. And for this project, we already work with with 9 districts among Ho Chi Minh City, and we create the 9 new cooperatives for independent waste collector. And as I mentioned before, why we create the cooperative for independent waste collector, because they work independently. So the link between independent waste collector is very weak, and the voice is very weak also. That is the reason why we have to work with them to form them in cooperative. And in this project, we work with 15 projects directly. We support for the independent waste collector in this. And the remaining cooperative in Ho Chi Minh City, we do networking with them when we want to increase the voice of independent waste collector. And for the third cooperative, third objective of this project, we do advocacy with the government. Next slide, please, Trong. For the third, we do advocacy with the government. Back, Trong, back, too quick. And in this project, we already work with government a lot in some regulation related to their life and working condition of independent waste collector. And we try to organize many workshops with the government to mention about the collection fee before the decision 88 issued in 2008. They fought for collection fee. It means the collection fee could not increase. Meanwhile, everything increased. That is the reason why we try to mobilize the government, to advocate with the government how to increase the collection fee to improve the life of independent waste collector. And luckily, in 2018, the Ho Chi Minh City already issued the decision 38. In the decision 38, the collection fee already improved in double. And also we mentioned about waste separation a lot, and Ho Chi Minh City issued the decision 44, and the decision 44 is mean they force the Ho Chi Minh City do waste separation for the whole city. And also we conduct many roundtable dialogue with the government to mention about documentary 4448. In this case, 4448 mentioned about independent waste collector have to change their current collection vehicle.
Sorry, Chilin, to interrupt, I think you have 1 more minute, 1 or 2, please.
Yes, in that case, we already work to how to support for independent waste collector. Next slide, please. And for the third, for the last objective of this project, we do advocacy, we do community awareness raising with the community and people. We do many events like clean up, photo voice, like meeting with community, with school and university, etc., to do awareness raising for community and people. And in that case, this project already had many results in this. The living and working condition of independent waste collector already improved, thanks to the collection fee improved, and also the independent waste collector, their voice also strengthened with the community and government. And besides that, independent waste collector recycle a lot of plastics. As I mentioned before, they collect 13 to 60 kilo of plastic to recycle every day per independent waste collector. And also we do many social innovation do advocacy for the government to mainstream our innovation in their program to support for independent waste collector, and Ho Chi Minh City already start to support for independent waste collector. And also the community already understand well the role and contribution of independent waste collector, and they value the contribution of independent waste collector a lot. And thank you for your listening. That's my presentation.
Thank you, chị Linh. That's very nice for your presentation. It's positive to know the increased amount of plastic collected for recycling and the increased level of awareness. And if we make like 13 or 60 kilograms per independent waste collector multiplied by nearly 4,000 independent waste collector, that's a huge amount, very promising already of the amount of plastic being recycled, collected for recycling, right? Yes, chị. So thank you for your presentation again, chị Linh. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Thoa from mGreen. mGreen is a company that provides the technical support for waste collection and waste sorting. I mean, the most vulnerable, like the informal sector, have been the most affected, but also the one that are mostly responsible for the quality of recycling and the price also, right? So we have heard from Chị Linh already, as well as the results within her project. Now, one of the idea is that can the informal sector perhaps be integrated somehow to a certain extent to the formal sector by digitalization, perhaps? So let's hear from Ms. Thoa from mGreen. So over to you, chị Thoa. Let me share the screen now for your presentation.
Yeah, I will present my presentation by Vietnamese. Yeah, I will present by Vietnamese.
Yes, chị. No problem.
Tram, we've still got the old presentation up if you want to remove that.
Let me stop sharing and then I will.
Yeah, we can see the mGreen one now. Great.
Have you seen? Because in my laptop, it is still with Enda Vietnam. I'm sorry for the, I think.
It's okay, we can see the mGreen one, but maybe stop sharing and share again. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, please, chị. Dạ, mình bắt đầu được đó, chị Thoa.
Dạ vâng. Ok, xin chào mọi người. Mình là Thoa, mình đang là CEO của doanh nghiệp xã hội mGreen, đơn vị phụ trách triển khai về ứng dụng di động mGreen, là một ứng dụng phân loại rác tại nguồn và thu gom rác tái chế được tích điểm đổi quà. Qua đó thì hướng tới nền kinh tế tuần hoàn. Mục tiêu của mGreen đó là xây dựng một cái ý thức văn minh trong việc phân loại rác tại nguồn để bảo vệ môi trường, từ đó có thể giúp thu hồi rác thải nhựa. Thứ hai đó là tạo công ăn việc làm cho người thu gom rác tái chế, có một công ăn việc làm văn minh thông qua một ứng dụng di động trên smartphone. Và thứ ba đó là bên mình kết nối với các nhãn hàng để xây dựng một hệ sinh thái từ online tới offline thông qua nền tảng e-voucher trên điện thoại. Tức là người dùng sẽ được, người chủ nguồn thải sẽ được tích điểm và để đổi hàng hoặc là mua sắm những quà tặng của các nhãn hàng. đơn vị xả ra rác thải nhựa, có những sản phẩm bao bì là bằng nhựa. Next slide, please. Về hệ thống của mGreen thì sẽ có tổng thể là 3 ứng dụng trên di động và trên nền tảng web. Thứ nhất đó là với chủ nguồn thải thì sẽ sử dụng ứng dụng mGreen để được hướng dẫn phân loại rác tại nguồn, được tích điểm khi phân loại rác và thu gom các loại rác tái chế, cụ thể đây là giấy, nhựa và kim loại. Thứ hai đó là với ứng dụng mGreen Collector là dành cho người thu gom rác tái chế. Thì ở đây người thu gom rác tái chế có thể gồm là cả người tư nhân và cả các công ty thu gom, cũng như là các cấp chính quyền, và hiện tại thì chúng tôi cũng đang cung cấp cho cả đối tác công và đối tác thứ tư. Thứ ba đó là về ứng dụng Mboy Shop, như tôi đã nói ở trên, đó là ứng dụng dành cho các cửa hàng để sử dụng đối soát voucher quà tặng và voucher sản phẩm khi mà mGreen hợp tác là đại lý bán hàng của các đối tác này, cũng như là ứng dụng này sẽ dành cho các đối tác mà có sản phẩm tái chế muốn đưa đến thị trường người dùng cuối. Và với 3 ứng dụng này thì chúng tôi thực hiện trên nguyên tắc, một cái nguyên tắc chung của mGreen, đó là nguyên tắc 3M, 3M, đó là Mobility, Money for All và Multi-Stakeholder. Với việc đó là có dựa trên một ứng dụng di động, thứ hai đó là Mobility, thứ hai là Money for All, tức là mô hình chúng tôi tạo ra một nền kinh tế chia sẻ mọi người có lợi, và Multi-Stakeholder, tức là kết hợp giữa khá là nhiều bên, từ chính quyền, doanh nghiệp và cộng đồng xã hội. Chính xác hơn đây là một cái operation model, không thể là business model. Thì người dùng cuối, các bạn có thể thấy là khi người dùng cuối mà phân loại rác tái chế, đưa rác tái chế cho người thu gom rác thì họ sẽ được kiếm điểm, và điểm ở đây thì chúng tôi sẽ quy đổi theo cái giá mua bán thị trường, đó là 1 điểm sẽ tương đương với 1 đồng. Thứ hai nữa là khi mà họ đưa rác tái chế cho người thu gom rác thì chủ nguồn thải sẽ lấy được cái điểm M-point này thông qua cái khối lượng mà chúng tôi được đưa lên ứng dụng mGreen. Tiếp theo đó là sau khi chủ nguồn thải có cái ứng dụng di động mGreen này rồi thì họ có điểm rồi, nó giống như một chiếc ví đấy ạ, đó chính là một cái chiếc thẻ tích điểm phân loại rác, thì chủ nguồn thải sẽ mang đến cửa hàng để mua sắm và đổi quà dựa trên hệ số điểm mà họ có. Ngoài ra là trên thẻ tích điểm phân loại rác mGreen trên mobile thì chủ nguồn thải còn có ứng dụng này còn có một chức năng, đó là ngoài được tích điểm từ việc phân loại rác và từ khối lượng rác tái chế, thì họ còn được tích điểm liên kết từ các cửa hàng ăn uống và mua sắm tiêu dùng này nữa. Còn với người thu gom rác tái chế, vậy thì sau khi họ thu gom rác tái chế xong thì cũng thực ra là rất là linh động với tùy đối tác công và đối tác tư, là có nơi thì chúng tôi kết nối với đơn vị thu mua rác tái chế để họ nếu khi họ thiếu thị trường, hoặc là người thu gom rác tái chế sẽ chủ động làm việc với các nhà máy rác tái chế để bán và chuyển giao cái lượng rác tái chế mà họ thu gom được. Rác tái chế ở đây chúng tôi tập trung là giấy, nhựa và kim loại. Đó, và một phần nữa là cái như vừa chia sẻ ở trên, đó là chúng tôi hợp tác với các tập đoàn về triển khai cái chính sách là Extend Product Responsibility. Đó là cái việc thực hiện trách nhiệm mở rộng của nhà sản xuất, cũng như là thực hiện cái trách nhiệm xã hội để họ là tham dự vào hoạt động hỗ trợ công tác truyền thông, nâng cao nhận thức cho người dùng, cho người dân là tại sao phải phân loại rác tại nguồn, và cũng như là tác hại của rác thải nhựa, đồng thời nghĩa là liên kết mật thiết với những sản phẩm của họ để đưa ra thị trường. Và chúng tôi thống kê qua một số cái thành tựu mà chúng tôi vừa rồi triển khai trong thời gian từ năm 18 đến năm 20, và chắc các bạn biết vừa rồi do Covid nên là chúng tôi chỉ thống kê đến thời gian này thôi. Chúng tôi đã có mặt ở trên 10 tỉnh thành. Chúng tôi kết hợp với Trung ương Đoàn Thanh niên Cộng sản Hồ Chí Minh và Bộ Khoa học Công nghệ với sự bảo trợ của Bộ Khoa học Công nghệ, là một cái ứng dụng ứng phó với biến đổi khí hậu, và cũng là một giải thưởng sáng tạo về doanh nghiệp tạo tác động xã hội của giải thưởng châu Á Thái Bình Dương. Và hơn nữa chúng tôi là top 3 của ứng dụng đô thị thông minh và đổi mới sáng tạo tại Hà Nội. Chúng tôi đã triển khai trên 10 tỉnh thành với hiện tại là trên 10.000 hộ dân và người dùng là sử dụng cái ứng dụng này với tỷ lệ hoạt động thường xuyên để phân loại rác hoặc là để tương tác hoặc nghe những xem thông tin về ứng dụng là 70%. Với 100 người là mGreen Collector sử dụng ứng dụng mGreen Collector để collect thu gom cái rác tái chế, và chúng tôi xây dựng cái đội đại sứ môi trường, nó có 120 bạn học sinh với góp phần thu gom vào hơn 200 tấn rác tái chế, và trong đó thì khoảng 20% là plastic waste, là rác nhựa đã được thu gom. Next slide please. Vâng, một số các đối tác của chúng tôi chúng tôi cũng để đảm bảo cái nguyên tắc mà multi stakeholder đó, là gần như một dự án thì chúng tôi triển khai là rất là kết hợp chặt chẽ giữa việc sẽ có một đơn vị của chính quyền đồng hành cùng, một tổ chức quốc tế và một doanh nghiệp, một tập đoàn và đơn vị truyền thông, cùng với đó là các doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ chúng tôi sẽ hợp tác vừa là truyền thông và bán hàng cho họ. Với một doanh nghiệp nhỏ nhất cũng vẫn có thể thực hiện trách nhiệm xã hội và góp phần vào việc phân loại, thu gom rác nhựa, như các cửa hàng coffee, ví dụ như là người dùng có thể kiếm điểm từ việc phân loại rác nhựa thì điểm thưởng đấy lại đổi thành những chiếc ống hút bằng giấy hay là bằng cỏ. Một số các doanh nghiệp mà chúng tôi cũng xin kể tên một số các đơn vị mà chúng tôi hợp tác như công ty môi trường đô thị.
Thôi, mình còn khoảng 1 phút nữa chị nha.
Okay. Và các tập đoàn đang như Unilever hay là Nestle. Next slide, next slide please. Next slide please. Đây các bạn có thể thấy là trên ứng dụng mGreen thì chúng tôi tập trung vào educate người ta là có những loại rác nhựa nào, không những bên cạnh việc phân loại rác mà có những loại rác nhựa nào và đủ chủng loại các 7 loại nhựa trong gia đình của họ để họ biết và phân loại và chuyển giao cho người thu gom rác tái chế. Và những thông tin này thì được cập nhật rất là đầy đủ trên ứng dụng mGreen, giúp người ta bên cạnh việc hướng dẫn phân loại còn đặt lịch được người thu gom rác tái chế và đổi quà. Tiếp đi em. Vâng, rất là đủ các thông tin về quà tặng. Như các bạn có thể thấy, khi mà có điểm thì người dùng lại được tự do lựa chọn quà tặng, cũng như là biết được lịch sử phân loại và thu gom rác tái chế, đặc biệt là tỷ lệ khối lượng nhựa mà họ đã phân loại là bao nhiêu. Next slide, please. Vâng, và họ thì cũng có thể là không những là thực ra là tùy từng khối lượng, là ví dụ chúng tôi là trên 3 kg, hoặc có những nơi thực ra là chúng tôi triển khai phụ thuộc vào từng địa bàn và chính quyền của mỗi khu vực. Có những nơi trên 3 kg mà chúng tôi sẽ thu gom tận nhà, và có những nơi để chúng tôi có thể là người dân sẽ mang tới một địa điểm, chúng tôi gọi đó là mGreen House, để người dân mang rác tái chế đến một địa điểm để quy đổi thành quà tặng, một điểm thu tập trung giống như ở các nơi khác là West Bank. Và chúng tôi cũng triển khai cả thùng rác thông minh, tức là thùng rác đó có thể tích hợp cái QR code để kết nối với ứng dụng mGreen. Khi người dùng mà phân loại đúng rác tái chế và scan QR code trên ứng dụng mGreen thì người dùng sẽ cũng được tích điểm theo lần phân loại rác. Next slide please. Vâng, và đây là một hình ảnh mà người collector đã sử dụng cái ứng dụng mGreen, app mGreen Collector của họ để thu gom cái rác tái chế từ hộ dân. Và như là cô Michelle có trình bày ban đầu là thiếu cái sự khuyến khích cho người thu gom rác tái chế, thì chúng tôi những người ở đây không những được hưởng cái doanh thu từ rác tái chế đến 90%, mà họ còn cũng được hưởng một phần điểm được tích lũy theo cái khối lượng rác nhựa và rác tái chế họ thu được để đổi thành quà tặng và nhu yếu phẩm của các đơn vị đồng hành. Next slide. Vâng, và với hệ thống mGreen thì chúng tôi tracking một cách rõ ràng, rất là rõ ràng cái tỷ lệ của rác nhựa được thu gom, lịch sử và thời gian được thu gom. Đấy là một cái tiến bộ hơn so với việc triển khai thủ công mà không có ứng dụng. Tự động xuất từ hệ thống điện thoại và hệ thống website. Thực ra bên cạnh chúng tôi không chỉ có app, thì chúng tôi để triển khai thì chúng tôi phải triển khai cả một chuỗi hoạt động kèm theo, giống như là tổ chức event rồi là vận động chính sách. Vì vậy nên là chúng tôi đưa ra một cái case study là một cái dự án đây là chúng tôi đã triển khai cái ứng dụng mGreen đã góp phần tăng cái việc thu gom thu hồi rác nhựa như thế nào. Đó là một khu vực tòa nhà và trường học ở khu vực quận 2 thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Chúng tôi sau có 1 năm triển khai mà có hơn 1.000 hộ dân và trẻ em cùng tham gia sử dụng ứng dụng mGreen để phân loại cái rác nhựa này và đổi quà tặng. Chúng tôi sử dụng chính người lao công tòa nhà để sử dụng ứng dụng mGreen Collector để collect cái plastic waste này và thống kê cái hiệu quả công việc, tỷ lệ rác của họ thu gom. Từ việc là không có một ai phân loại rác thì đến 80% cái hộ dân và một trường học ở khu vực đó thì đã phân loại rác sau 1 năm. Và chúng tôi thu được 1.000 kg rác nhựa tại đây. Với các loại nhựa là PET,
em xin lỗi.
Ok, finish. Next slide, finish.
Dạ em xin lỗi vì lát nha. Có thể chắc chắn. Ok, dạ.
Okay, yes, this is my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Gito. I think I also make a mistake because I focused too much on all of the interesting presentations and forgot somehow on timekeeping. The last presentation is gonna be from PLASTICPeople. So I would just over to you now, Nestor.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Yep, can you see it?
Yes, I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My name is Nestor Catalan. Together with Nana Morante, we set up this company called PLASTICPeople to find solutions for one of the big threats we're facing nowadays, which is the plastic pollution, but in a constructive way. Our approach is finding ways to transform any type of plastic waste into something useful and valuable, improving not only the environment by collecting and processing that amount of plastic waste, but also society. How? Transforming basically any type of plastic waste. We call it, it's called the thermoplastics. Most of the plastics, they have the property they can change the shape by heat them up. So they can remold and shape in new items, new objects. We focus in any kind of plastic waste, especially the low-grade plastics, which are basically the big threat, the 80%, more than 80% of the plastic that are not being collected because there's no value. It's very difficult to collect them. And what do we do with those plastics? We create hope. We say that the most important part of that is showing the reality, showing the facts, showing that plastic waste can be something that can be transformed into something useful and valuable. And we do the transformation from waste into final products. We directly made panels and poles and building blocks, I'm going to show you later, that can be used to make final products for furniture, construction, decoration, because this is a different approach of facing the recycling process. We say ourselves that we don't do recycling, we do upcycling, because we don't make an item out of an old item. Through our process, facing the environmental challenge, what we do is mixing several types of plastic waste, different types of polymers and items, such as plastic bags, multi-layer plastics, films, straws, coffee cups. Most of the single-use plastics, we find a recipe to combine all those polymers and items together to make valuable items that can be used in different different goals and different objects and production I'm going to show you later. And it's environmental for the big impact we can make doing the transformation of any type of big volumes of plastic waste. And it's also social, because by adding value, making interesting the collection of those of any type of plastic waste, we increase the amount of plastics that can be collected and can get paid for. We generate job opportunities for people that are already working in collection and segregation, and also in the new sector, the new plastic workers. They're going to start working with our materials to make final products. So this is something that goes forward than just recycling or transformation of waste. Our model is a clear circular economy model that we start from the beginning, from the source. It's very important to create awareness, to make people understand the importance that every one of us as individuals we have in that solution. We are actually the key for the solution. How? Empowering the segregation, being able to choose where to throw our plastics, how to prepare the plastics to be recyclable. The cleaner that we prepare, the better segregation we do absorb, the easier will be later for process those plastics. And then we connect with several stakeholders already in place, the collectors and aggregators and traditional recyclers, for the first step of the process, starting the collection of those plastics, how to collect those plastics being segregated, don't mix up, which is another of the big challenges that we have here, is even if we empower segregation, if later on there's not a proper collection, everything is going to end up mixed together and ending in a landfill again. So collection is very important. And then the preparation, we call it the pre-processing of those items and plastics, how to do a proper sorting later, and how to transform them into, we call it the ingredients to make our panels. Then in our process, we take those flakes, those type of plastics that have been properly separated, combined together, and using temperature and pressure, we shape them into building blocks. We call it building blocks because we're talking about, I will show you later, but we're talking basically about panels, different sizes, different colors, different properties and types of plastic we used to make them. And with those building blocks, we can make furniture. We can make even houses with that. We can make any kind of item because it's a panel, it's a board that can be used in different sectors and areas. And then that final product can get back to the source. So someone who is doing there for collection, segregating plastics, at the end can get back something that partially can be made with the effort they've been doing for in that collection segregation. Huh? So currently we have a factory here in Ho Chi Minh City, in Tuduk, with a capacity up to 1,200 kilos per day of direct final product. We're talking about, we're not a waste management company. We are a plastic transformation upcycling company, transforming plastic waste directly in the final materials. And we employ directly and indirectly about 100 people. People that work in our factory, people that work with us in the collection, people that work with manufacturing of the product and distribution. Many other people in the community that we feel really supported for. I'm going to show you quickly some of the materials where they're coming from to show you the value in all of those low valuable plastics. Talking about multi-layer milk carton with paper, paper, aluminium, and plastics, how we can combine together and how we can transform it in final products. Polyalu, this is after the process of separation of paper and pulp, we can have a mix of plastics and aluminium that can be transformed in a very nice and consistent color final product. We need even housing. We built 2 houses in the Mekong Delta by using this kind of plastic waste. We did something very impactful because one of the small houses, typical design countryside, less than 40 square meters, is about 1 ton of plastic waste. And this is a waste that is collected locally. It's a waste that doesn't come from overseas. It's a way that takes taking an effort to collect those plastics, but we're giving a big value, which is a home, is a house made of recycled plastic. We can combine in different process with other straws, single-use plastics, to make more colorful, less colorful final products. For us, it's very important also to guarantee the safetiness of our plastics, the traceability, where the plastic is coming from. Not only for guarantee that product is safe, but also to explain a real story. Our products are made from plastic waste that comes from a specific source here in Vietnam. And everyone can be part of that story. Plastic bags, they can use for lightening, for colorful panels, wrappers to make collecting bins, Gardening is perfect for gardening, is water resistant, doesn't get rotten, doesn't get is UV protection in this case, because we inherit the properties of the plastic items that we're using. And because we're using many food grade packaging, all food grade packaging is food grade, is safe. So all those properties have been transmitted to our final materials and final products. In terms of final products, we can show you what will we do with the panels. Okay, how those panels can be transformed in something more elaborated. Can be bins, I've been doing lockers, 100% with our recycled plastic materials, shelves, tables, gardening again, flooring, little items that we can customize with different kinds of plastic waste, colorful, even playgrounds for kids, signs, even jewelry. So we have some customers that have been using our panels to make small items of jewelry. And the beauty and the creativity is in the minds, is in the designers, is in the architects. So for us, it's great to inspire, to educate, to show people the hope, to show people that plastic waste needs to be properly disposed. Plastic is not bad. Plastic is a great material. But we're taking the advantage of that plastic. We need to take the responsibility of disposing of plastic properly. That's why we like working in schools with kids, organizing workshops, organizing activities with them, to showing them not only what are the possibilities of the recycled plastic if they do the proper segregation, but also how those materials can be transformed in something useful. They can be used in the daily activities, classes, imagination for projects, etc. And also in companies, it's very important for us to create that awareness everywhere, to explain people that every one of us is part of the solution, that just by doing a proper separation, those plastics can be processed later and saved. In terms of final market, no, we talk about our customers, who are our customers, who can buy our materials. We have from furniture companies and designers to building companies, construction companies, final users, individuals, they want to have their own furniture made with recycled plastic, sport events, we're doing like now some medals made of recycled plastic that is made from some of the wrappers and kind of power gel bars and energy bars that are being collected in races can be transformed in medals, for example. It's all about imagination, it's about creativity, and creativity is inside of all of us. So don't think that big corporations and everything is responsibility of the government. It's also our responsibility, and we are all part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nestor. So everyone, I think we have gone through all 4 presentations. I would like to jump right now to the Q&A part. I think you don't mind spending some more minutes staying with us so that we can extend the length of the webinar somehow to answer on the questions being put in the Q&A, also some that I have received via email, because obviously that's the part that we have always been expecting for. So yes, so the first one, I think Keelan from Enda has make a signal that she wants to answer live. That is from Sikti, which is, are the independent waste collectors part of the official economy or informal economy? And any, this is a abbreviation or something like that. Can you answer it now, Keelan?
Yes, as I shared with in my presentation, the independent waste collector, they are still informal sector, but they get recognized by the government because they involved in domestic waste collection. And their income based on the collection fee paid by the household and the other income from selling recyclable. They don't have any program with government. They don't have any contract with the government or the company. In that point, it's quite unique in Ho Chi Minh City. Independent waste collector, they are informal sector, but they get recognition from the government. That is my answer.
Yes, thank you, chị. And the next question is from Adam Dresser to Ms. Thoa mGreen. So how well have consumers been able to sort and separate their plastic waste? Dạ chị Thoa ơi, câu hỏi dành cho chị đó là người tiêu dùng họ đã được đào tạo tập huấn để sử dụng cái phần mềm và phân loại rác như thế nào ạ? How well have consumers been able to sort and separate their plastic waste?
I understand. Trước khi chúng tôi triển khai dự án ở khu vực thì chúng tôi sẽ tổ chức 3 hình thức truyền thông cũng như là tập huấn. Thứ nhất đó là về hoạt động tổ chức cái lễ phát động và đưa ra tập huấn tài liệu tập huấn cùng với chính quyền địa phương. Đó, và thứ nhất là chúng tôi sẽ final cái chính sách và tài liệu tập huấn với chính quyền địa phương. Thứ hai là chúng tôi tổ chức lễ phát động. Trong lễ phát động đó thì chúng tôi sẽ có triển khai cái hoạt động đó là đào tạo tập huấn bằng hình ảnh, bằng slide trực quan, tức là gồm có cả bằng các hình thức truyền thông từ video, báo đài, đến thứ hai là poster, banner, và thứ ba là các hình thức trực quan, đó là mô phỏng các loại rác tái chế cũng như là rác nhựa, các vật dụng, các loại rác thường thấy ở đường phố và trong gia đình, để người dân có cái kiến thức thực hiện việc phân loại đó. Và đồng thời nghĩa là cái vật dụng mô phỏng của chúng tôi thì gồm có các loại rác tái chế, kèm theo đó là cái ứng dụng mGreen sử dụng để cách thức sử dụng và cách thức phân loại như thế nào. Ngoài ra là thực ra chúng tôi trong một dự án thì chúng tôi sẽ luôn luôn có một hình gọi là, ngoài sau khi tổ chức lễ phát động thì chúng tôi có hình thức tuyên truyền lại và lấy kết quả khảo sát. Cụ thể đó là thường cứ sau định kỳ 2 tháng một lần thì chúng tôi sẽ lấy kết quả ý kiến khảo sát và thể hiện và cùng với chính quyền và ban quản lý khu vực tòa nhà hay trường học sẽ tổ chức một buổi tập huấn training lại, cũng như là lấy ý kiến đánh giá khảo sát của đơn vị thực hiện để xem là họ có phân loại đúng hay chưa, việc triển khai cải thiện như thế nào, và cũng như là các bất cập và các ý kiến để cải thiện cái việc các bất cập xảy ra, và cũng như là các ý kiến đóng góp để cải thiện cái việc triển khai dự án. Hình thức tuyên truyền của chúng tôi thì rất là đa dạng, như tôi vừa chia sẻ đấy, sẽ 2 hình thức chính là gồm có online và offline. Offline đó là qua các sự kiện và các buổi tập huấn trực tiếp. Online đó là qua, ngoài các trang báo điện tử, các báo đài thì chúng tôi cũng có các kênh truyền thông riêng, đó là kênh YouTube, kênh truyền hình và ngay trên ứng dụng với các hình ảnh video hiển thị qua hình thức các digital poster. That is in my answers, but I don't see any 4D. I don't know you can see me. Không biết là mọi người có nhìn thấy mình không nhỉ? Bởi vì vừa rồi là mình thấy màn hình.
Yes, we see you.
Dạ, vâng, em cảm ơn ạ. Đấy là cái câu trả lời của chị ấy, thì không biết là bạn còn có đã thỏa mãn với câu trả lời hay còn chưa rõ điểm nào chưa ạ?
Dạ, cảm ơn chị Thoa. Mình sẽ đến một cái câu. So everyone, I will go with maybe a more general question so that I will have the idea contributed from each of the panelists. Say this is more about fighting plastic pollution. Mr. Đức, the reporter, he sent a question to me and asked, what should Vietnam do in order to more effectively fight the plastic pollution. So I personally would like to give somehow the idea that when we talk about circularity in the plastic economy, like making the value from plastic waste, that is already one way to contribute to fighting plastic pollution. So if you have any other ideas contributing to this, very appreciate to hear from you.
Are you asking to us now, Tram, as panelists?
Yes, to all the panelists, Michelle.
Yeah, go on there, Ernesto. Go for it.
So things, as you mentioned before, there are many initiatives that already started in Vietnam, and there's a lot of worry, and actually we've been in different events, public events from authorities that you see actually the will to start improving the system, but things need to happen. It looks like everything is really slow happening here, and one of the main things that should happen is empowering the collection of the segregated plastics. Is something that is still a pending subject. So we ask people to do separation, to people to clean the plastics, to get it ready, and then there's only one bin to do that. There's no really an effective collection in separated bins. This is the very firstly challenge that we need to face from our side, getting easy access to recyclables.
Yeah, I agree also with Nestor. It's kind of starting with very basic infrastructure to basically allow people to segregate and for the most valuable resources to be recovered. You know, sometimes it's not very, very technical solutions. It's just very basic solutions are implemented well. And I think, you know, linking with the informal sector, you know, it's great to hear how, you know, the value that they are providing, you know, in terms of their services, that is better recognized. So that this whole, it's a bit like this in the UK, you know, it's not in terms of the COVID, you know, impact of COVID, the care industry is now a major focus. People are understanding the value of people that work in care homes. I think in the same way, we need something that shows the value of people that are working in the informal sector to provide these services that are often very invisible. And until they go wrong, we don't realize, you know, that they're there. So I would love to see more focus on the informal sector, more focus on that infrastructure to make sure people can actually dispose of their waste, and behavior change, awareness raising, you know, to have that sense of collective responsibility.
Yes, I would like to ask more idea on this. For combating plastic pollution is very comprehensive method to do that. And for we should have a top-down and bottom-up approach. The top-down is mean we should have a guideline, regulation, or law to ask the community or the people to follow. And the bottom-up approach is we do advocacy at the grassroots people, community, so they can do awareness raising. And in that case, they can do waste separation. We force the people to do waste separation. And after that, we have a synchronous system to collect the waste separation. And the other point is how the guideline or the regulation support for informal sector involved in solid waste management, involved in plastic recycling. Because up to now, we don't have a ban use single-use plastic, for example. And before, we lack of technology how to recycle single-use plastic. However, when we already have a technical and we already can link between the formal and informal sector in recycling the single-use plastic. However, now the problem is in Ho Chi Minh City and another big city of Vietnam, the run shop or aggregator could not get the license to work in the city. And that is quite difficult because they could not collect on the single-use plastic. They need the huge place to collect in that case. And now if they don't have a license, they don't want to buy single-use plastic to make the support for the recycling or company, for example. That point is sometimes we get the stuff in this state and another time we get in another state. That's why I mean when we want to combat plastic pollution, we should have a top-down and bottom-up approach together, very, very linked together. In that case, we can solve the problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Yes, please.
Something on that is, yes, that is totally certain. So as we know, there are plastic waste. There are different types of polymers with different prices. There are plastics with a positive value, plastics with a neutral value, and plastics with negative value. That means that you need to pay to dispose of those plastics. Point on those is those plastics can be recycled. So all plastics, all thermoplastics can be somehow transformed in something. But we need to make it easy. We need to facilitate the access to those plastics. And this is something that Tim was mentioning. If you push everyone to be far away, then just the logistics become a nightmare. And this is one of the highest cost. How to collect, how to transport those plastics, especially single-use plastics that are very light, to the recycler, and what price should we fix for that to make it sustainable as a business. Now, then in there is where support from government and support from also the community, no, and doing that task of separation should take place.
Thank you, Nestor. So all panelists and audience, it's been very great with all the presentations and questions and answers. I noticed in the Q&A function that there are still so many questions, but we try to send these questions to on the panelists and get it summarized, note it down, and send it back to you as a follow-up activity next to this one webinar. So everyone, I just like to sum up what we have been discussing today. So thank you very much again for all your presentations and discussion, and all the audiences for your active participation. I would say I'm glad with the improved collection and development of recycling industries. However, more still should be done, obviously. So, and plastic should be put in a home waste management system. We also learned from plastic people that there is a high possibility to recycle low-rate plastic. And really, when I heard the presentations from Enda, mGreen, and then plastic people, I just thought that all of them can cooperate and work together, which obviously they have been working on. So the importance is working together. You have seen that private sector, especially the SMEs, are very important. So once we want to promote circular economy in plastic, I believe working together to fill up the knowledge gap and then communication dissemination should be the key. So, and I agree also with Michelle that there is no single solution. There is no one size fits all to this, but it has to combine with upstream and downstream. So, however, I think recycling is also the next best solution to other complementary measures in the sectors where the other alternatives of plastic do not yet exist. And finally, I think the informal sector plays a vital role, obviously. So the last point I would like to bring up is that, as you can see from the chat box, we love to continuously keep in touch with you, and please do visit us and sign up on the webpage as well as on the social media pages. And just to remind you again that we have the running competition called the Zero Waste City Challenge. So would like to have the applications from all of you across Vietnam to contribute to the innovations that can tackle the problem of solid waste management with the approach of circular economy. So with this, I would like to wish all of you safety, success, and I would like to end the webinar now. Thank you again to all panelists and all audiences, and see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.